there, and thanks for listening to the Adulting is Easy podcast, where we make adulting easier by making money easier. This is your host, Lauren. Please rate and review when we're done if you get a chance. I'm joined today by the Dividend Dream, aka Dream, the Dreamer, Madam Dreamy or Dream Girl. She's on Twitter at Dream Dividend and on YouTube at the Dividend Dream. Dream is a strategy/marketing executive in her mid-40s. Originally from the Midwest, she is part of the LGBT community, is married, and now lives in the South. Dream is first-generation American, having British parents. She has a net worth of about $3 million and a PADI, that is projected annual dividend income, well north of $80,000. Thanks for joining me, Dream.
Thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely. I am looking forward to it, but I do want to let people know we have a new sponsor, which is called Hemline. So let's talk about property management software that's a little bit different. First of all, the software doesn't really solve your problems. That's why Hemline's Property Management provides 24/7 repair coordination. That's right. Use your own service professionals or tap into their licensed network. Second, many of you are investing out of state. Hemline connects you with licensed leasing agents and other tenant placement services to help you find and place a tenant. And third, Hemline is ranked #1 by Gartner with 4.8-star reviews. So they're legit. So visit www.hemlane.com and don't forget to mention that Adulting is Easy sent you, and Hemlane will dramatically improve your property management. Again, that's www.hemlane.com. So our goal for today is to make adulting easier for listeners by discussing a personal finance topic, since managing money is a big part of adulting. So today, Dream, you and I are going to talk about, you guessed it, everybody, dividends. So what are dividends, Dream?
What are dividends? So you mean the eighth wonder of the world, the most passive of all passive incomes? It really is my favorite way to make money on money. But I guess the technical explanation would be something along the lines of, regular profit sharing payments made between a company and its investors. So literally it's cash flow given to you for holding the stock, and you can choose to reinvest it or just take the cash. So some stocks pay it, monthly, some pay quarterly, some pay semi-annual or annual, but that's essentially what dividends are. It's the elixir of life, Lauren.
Basically, love it. So do all stocks pay dividends or no?
No, there are stocks that are simply growth stocks, and some that pay in a variety of different forms. You typically want to evaluate stocks based on their total return, but yeah, some pay dividends and some do not.
So we heard in your bio that you have $80,000 of projected annual dividend income. Does that projected mean that you're not actually taking those dividends and using them as cash flow right now? Are you reinvesting them?
So the PADI, projected annual dividend income, so that just means that from here on out, right? Like not looking past, not looking in the rearview mirror. That is what my dividends are producing, whether or not I take the cash or reinvest. So that's kind of a choice that I make. I usually approach it in more of like a hybrid fashion. So some I turn on what is called drip. So that's kind of like an automatic reinvestment of your dividends. And some I actually do take the cash and do a couple of things with it. One is just decide which stock I want to invest in next. So not automatically reinvesting in the same stock, right? Which is what drip does. And then in other cases, the folks that have been kind of following along with me know that I actually took a 6-month sabbatical this year. So for 6 months, I actually lived off of the cash flow that my stocks were producing.
So how was that sabbatical?
I would describe it as, freaking fantastic, very relaxing. I did a lot of reflection of sort of where I am in life and what I wanted to do next. And I think, that really is the power of, investing and dividend investing in particular, which is there's really nothing you have to do. There's no person that calls me in the middle of the night because they have a leak that needs to be fixed, or, keeping up with, HOAs, or, doing really anything else. It's truly passive income. So yeah, I mean, I used it to do all kinds of different things, reconnect with family and friends, and just think about, what my next moves in life are.
And a big reason you're able to take a 6 month sabbatical is because of the dividend income.
Oh, absolutely. I would not have been able to take it without it. So, I mean, I am the, breadwinner of my family. So I need to be able to cover all of our, ongoing bills. And yeah, it covered all of our bills.
So, what kind of investors should be investing in dividend stocks?
Well, obviously I'm biased, but I'd say anybody, right? But it's funny, I actually did a video on this exact topic, which is kind of like, gut check, is this for you? Because, perhaps if the stock market makes you sort of anxious, or, maybe even you tend to be impatient, or you'll know that you'll, pull money in and out of stocks for whatever reason, then, perhaps it's not for you. It really is for a long-term minded investor that's, willing or maybe even excited, right, about doing a little bit of research into businesses and consumer mindset and sort of what's going on with the economy and things like that. And so it's, in my mind, really for anybody who, is into that, and then wanting to hold that value in there for the long term.
I'm glad you mentioned researching. How do you know which dividend stocks to buy? Like, let's say you're evaluating, you've got some cash, you're evaluating what you want your next position to be. How do you know what's a good buying opportunity?
Oh man, how much time do we have? I actually do a lot of analysis, a lot more than I actually, show or go through on my channel or whatever. But, and this is where I have my disclaimer, right, that I am just a regular person. I am not a financial advisor. I'm just a woman in the world who is very focused on this strategy. But with all that said, here's some of the things I do look at. I look at, certainly number of years of dividend increases. Basically that means what percentage growth every single year. The number of years of consecutive dividend payouts. Have they been paying out for 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 50 years? I take a look at also the payout ratio. So that's, can that company actually cover the dividend? And so those are some of the things I look at, in addition to like beta, which is a measure of volatility, and some other things. But those are the hardcore, sort of numbers that a lot of dividend investors look at. And I also look at a lot of the softer side of things. So, this is where I think I may have some additional value, like, things like, where are the trends going, right? Where are consumer trends going? Where's the consumer sentiment going? Is the category growing or is it shrinking? What is the macro environmental changes? So, what's the strength of relative economies and things like that? That's the kind of stuff that jazzes me. So I try to look at where the puck is going instead of, just the past numbers of any particular company.
Got it. Okay. So you said years of dividend increases, consecutive dividend payouts, the payout ratio, and then that softer side as well. I'm going to put you on the spot here. So what's on your watch? What's on your watch list right now? What are you researching? What are you thinking about buying?
I have several different watch lists in several different industries. I think I would answer it in maybe this way, that I have a lot of favorite stocks, right? And the thing is, there's just so many ways to answer that question. If you took a look at my portfolio, which I put out there for everybody to see, every single one of the stocks in my portfolio is one that is on my watch list. And I know that sounds crazy, but there are some times where I'll actually buy like 1 share or 10 shares of something, and it's just to watch it, because there's no better way to decide if you want to, hold something for the long term than actually to hold it. You can see how it feels. You can try it on like a jacket. You can say, gosh, this is really volatile. I just don't like how that feels, right? Gosh, the next earnings came out and, I didn't see that coming. like that's not something that management gave us a heads up on. And so you can just see, do I like this? Is this something that I could hold for the next 5 years or 10 years or 20 years? So I would just say that anything in my portfolio is what's on my core watch list. They're my favorite until the business model or environment fundamentally changes.
The idea that you could try on a stock, brilliant, brilliant idea. Love it. And that is so true. It's like there's one thing to be looking at what it's doing, but there's one thing to actually feel that a little bit by having some skin in the game, if you will. So something that we hear a lot, or at least I do in the world of Twitter, are these terms like aristocrats and kings. I was wondering if you could tell us what those are, just in case people hear those.
Yeah, sure, no problem. A Dividend King is a company, right, that has been raising first of all, they've been paying dividends out consistently for 50 years or more, and they have been increasing their dividends for 50 years or more. So, one example of that is Altria, ticker symbol MO. And a dividend aristocrat is one that it's a company that has been, paying out their dividends consistently for 25 years or more and raising those dividends consistently, sort of in a concatenated fashion for 25 years or more. So I'm glad you brought those up, because those are, if you're new to dividend investing or if you're new to stock investing, those are lists that you can just Google, and you can see those companies already organized and categorized for you under kings, aristocrats. And then it actually goes on into like dividend contenders, which is like, stocks that have been paying out and increasing consistently between 10 years and 24 years. And you can just start to shop in there and say, okay, this is a good starter pack or starter list for me to, begin my research. How do I feel about these? Are these, stocks or companies that are going to be growing for the next 50 years, for the next 20 or 10 years? And that's, really where the judgment comes in. Is this something that, I am going to take a bet on, or, be willing to invest, in the future in order to get that dividend payout?
So you're making a very strong case for dividends, obviously. And it's awesome because you get to hold the stock and get some cash flow from it, right? If they're not paying dividends, then in order to get cash flow from it, I'm just going to say it, even though it seems super obvious, you have to sell the freaking stock. So I love that about dividends. But let's say you're someone just maybe who has like a few properties, maybe like 9 short-term rentals, 3 long-term rentals, and you spend a lot of time researching real estate and making offers and picking real estate. Is there a way to invest in dividend stocks in an index fund type fashion where you don't have to do as much research?
Yes. So in terms of dividend index funds, so yes, there's plenty. I think of it more as there are lots of index funds, and some of them pay dividends, right? Or a percentage of their total return is in dividends. So I think that's actually a really good option for anybody who maybe doesn't want to individually pick stocks or stay up with that. There are plenty of them out there. There's Noble and SCHD, DGRO. Those are some of the examples that just quickly come to my mind. But yes, there's a ton of them out there that would give someone a more broad-based holding that also will kick out some dividends. The only thing to know about those is that obviously there are different amounts of expense percentages. So some of them are could be more more expensive than others, and some of them are pretty inexpensive, like 0.06, 0.03, that kind of thing. So there's something to think about.
Yep. Very, very smart. Yep. That makes a lot of sense. I just wanted to throw that out there for people in case they don't want to pick stocks. You can still get cash flow from your stocks in other ways.
Definitely.
Again, in your bio, we heard that you have, $80,000 projected annual dividend income. What is your ultimate goal for that?
That is a really easy answer. I have been on this road, this kind of yellow brick road for a long, long time. And my ultimate goal has been to reach $100,000 in annual dividend income. And I think, based on my projections, I think I'm going to get there somewhere between 2023 and 2025. But, honestly, after that, there's no roads. It's kind of like, okay, what do I do then?
Where
But
we're going, we don't need roads.
that's exactly right. But yeah, I mean, after, that has always been my goal, just because, it rings in your ears. It, for me, is past my crossover point, right? Where my
Yeah.
income exceeds my expenses. And, it's kind of like, I don't have a plan after that. I have to almost like reinvent myself. But yeah, that's been my ultimate goal, 100K.
Love it. Okay, so you're going to be there between 2023 and 2025. That does beg the question, when did you start building? Like, how long did it take you to build that 80K?
I mean, so I've been working on this for 20 years, and I think I was not unlike most people, where I kind of started out with mutual funds, right? Just in my 401k, and then I started going into CDs, and I do have some real estate as well, which I do rent out, believe it or not. And learned all of the things there. But it wasn't until I just started to invest in individual stocks that I thought, hey, wait a minute, like this actually fits me really well. It's what I like, and it's actually what I am good at. And it's actually what I'm like professionally trained to do in terms of understanding business results and consumer mindsets and things like that. But so that's where the real aha came in. The real kind of like light bulb went on, is that this is a way that I could actually generate income. This is a cash flow strategy. And that if you could amass enough stock, you could actually turn it into a paycheck that replaces your job. And that's when I really started going, okay, what am I doing here? I need to really take a sharp left into dividend stocks and get good at it, right? I mean, all investors, I feel like once you start moving in a straight line and you start doing the thing that you are good at, and you get fine-tuned with that, that's when the magic starts to really happen. So doing it for 20 years in terms of investing, but I would say really ultra focused on dividends just really in the last 5 years.
Yeah, we heard in your bio that you're in your 40s. So that would mean that you started investing in your 20s, which is great. And that you're in marketing. So that makes sense that you're talking about consumer sentiment. And I can tell from the just how your voice lights up, right? That does really light you up, and that you love that. And then so you can kind of take what you're sort of classically trained in, I guess, what your job is, and you can apply it to your investing life as well. So I think that makes a lot of sense.
Absolutely.
So that's really key what you're talking about when we're talking about cash flow. And that's something that people should really understand. And that was where my aha moment had, of course, with Rich Dad, Poor Dad, which I won't make any comments on him as like a person at this point. But in terms of that book, right, it's this idea of you don't have to make money. Your money can make money. Your assets can generate enough money that you don't have to do it anymore. And dividends are just, like you said, this yellow brick road that leads right to that. And I think it's fine that you don't know what you're going to do after that. That's perfect, right? But that's what financial independence is all about. Get there and having options as to which direction you can go.
Exactly right.
What advice do you have to learn more about dividends?
Mm. Yeah, I mean, well, my reason for really starting the YouTube channel at all was, I used to sit in my backyard and sort of tally the dividend income, and I just thought, wow, this is like getting really big. And at some point I realized that, I knew something that most sort of do not, or are not really executing. And I just thought, as a woman, what a shame that was, and wondered if I could do something about it. So, anyway, that's why I started, the channel, with hope to kind of inspire people who don't see themselves as investors, or people who don't think that they could have this kind of life, to perhaps reconsider and show really through example how to approach it and how to research. So, to answer your question, I guess I would say start to research. Start to get your ducks in a row in terms of understanding, stocks, the stock market, and just some of the basics of even the kinds of numbers and statistics that we were just talking about, or even just the softer side that we were talking about earlier. What are some of the categories or industries that because of perhaps what you do? So just start to research, do your due diligence first, and then pick the stocks. Don't do it the other way around. don't pick and then wait and then do your research, because it certainly won't turn out the same.
Yeah, love it. Is there anything else you want to add, Dream, before we wrap up?
I don't think so. I mean, honestly, I think what you do is fascinating. I'd love to interview you and your real estate strategies. that is so interesting to me, but maybe that's a different episode.
One of the episodes, I think it's 89 and 90. I had somebody interview me. This is gonna be in the
Ooh.
150s to 160s somewhere this episode. So that was a little while back. It might be time to do that again. You know what? I really think that listeners want to hear from other people and not necessarily me all the time.
I tell you what, I've listened to several of your episodes, and I've listened to a lot of other people's strategies, and I thought, but what about Lauren? I want to understand. I mean, you have such an incredible strategy yourself. So yeah, I think it might be time to do that one again.
All right. I will, noted for sure. So I'll put that on my list. Well, why don't you tell people then, Dream, how to get in touch with you? I know we said it at the top, but it doesn't hurt to repeat everything again.
Sure. I am on YouTube at The Dividend Dream, and I'm on Twitter at Dream Dividend.
Awesome. Got it. I put that in the show notes. And everybody, you can follow me on Twitter at Adulting is Easy. I started a YouTube channel as well. It's at Adulting is Easy. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram at Adulting is Easy Real. You can email me at realadultingiseasy@gmail.com. Don't forget to rate and review, guys. Thanks again for listening. Hopefully, Dream and I have made adulting a little easier for you.